Have you ever had a friend you were so close to, right? It felt like you'd always be in each other's lives, and then one day, kind of, you just end up as strangers. Like, you don't even realize it happened, but then one day you kind of just see them and you're like, oh wow, we don't really talk anymore. You kind of stop texting, you stop hanging out with them, and then you kind of wonder, like, what happened, if you did anything wrong, or if I would have been there, but now it's too late, or whatever. And what I've learned is, sometimes friendships fade, and it's not your fault. And something people don't say enough is not every friendship is supposed to, last forever. Some are seasonal, some are situational, and some, very few, will last a lifetime. And they're all valid. And you can maybe think back to maybe a friend you had in middle school or high school, and they could have felt like family or whatever. But maybe once you graduate, maybe now you barely talk to them. Like, maybe you hang out like maybe once a month now. Or you could have had friends in middle school that felt like family, and then in high school you have a whole different friend group and you don't even see them or talk to them anymore. And that doesn't erase anything, doesn't erase the impact they had on you. It just means that chapter of your life needed them, and that maybe the new chapter doesn't. But either way, you move on and the new chapter continues. So, I mean, some friendships fade. There are a lot of reasons, but I think, like, the few main ones is different paths. One of your friends are going to college, and then maybe you start working a full-time job right away, so like the schedules just don't align. And relationships and families and jobs, life gets busier, and friendship can't always be at the top of the list. New priorities in life, and sometimes you might just outgrow people. You might just outgrow each other, and not in a bad way. You didn't want to, but you don't want to connect the same anymore. And physical space often turns into emotional space too. And just because this happens, none of this means that you're a bad person or anything. It's just life shifting around you based on what both of you guys want. And sometimes you'll have to move forward with life, not really seeing your friends that much anymore, because you both have strong ambitions and goals that you want to reach. And I know this happens to me, and I know it most likely has happened to you guys if you're not in school anymore, or you've recently graduated, or you've been out of school for a long time. But you do know that most friendships are gonna fade, and maybe you have thought blaming yourself was the best option, because you might think, did I not reach out enough, did I not say anything, or did I say something wrong? And sure, that sometimes might happen, but most of the time it's not even really about you. It's just that people evolve, and so do their needs. What's unfair is holding yourself responsible for something that's just part of human growth. You can't hold yourself accountable, and you can't blame yourself for friends wanting different things than you. That's not your fault, and you want different things than them. Like, not everyone is gonna want the exact same thing, right? And for me personally, like, I'm still in high school. It's like my last year in high school. I'm a senior, so I have my friends in my group that I see, every day at lunch. And yeah, even outside of school, I would see them, a few times a week, because I got a job, so do they, so it's just harder to see each other. But I mean, we still make it work, and we spend hours hanging out, laughing and talking about everything. But as we get older, our lives just kind of went different directions. Even now, with people I used to be friends with, that just kind of changed, and that's gonna happen, right? But I know that with the main group I'm in, I can still see us all being best friends and hanging out even after school ends. It'll just be less, like how I was saying before. And even with these older people, I thought I messed up at first, like maybe I wasn't the bestest of a friend or whatever. But looking back, I realized we're just in different seasons, and doesn't erase anything, doesn't erase the good times or memories. It just means that we have different priorities, and paths are different, and they're not going to be the same forever. And another thing, like, I've seen this play out in different ways, I guess, but I have like 2 to 3 close friends that I don't even have classes with anymore. I literally don't see them during school days at all, basically. But we're still best friends. We make effort to hang out outside of school, and that bond is still solid, right? And I do think back to my junior year, when I did honestly have like a lot more friends, just because all the classes that we happened to share, we were always around each other, and it felt like we were tight. But now, since we don't really have those same classes anymore, I barely talk to some of them, or not really at all. And it's not like anything bad happened or anything. It's just we drifted apart throughout the summer because we would all hang out with our main group, I suppose. So we just drifted apart because life put us on different schedules. And you know, that really hit me because, you know, some friendships survive distance and sometimes it fades when the situation changes, and neither one is automatically anyone's fault. It just shows which friendships are, you know, meant to last and which ones you know, were for that season of life. And another thing that I want to bring up here is and there's my lifelong best friend. So a long time ago we met in daycare, and we've known each other for, I want to say, around 12 to 13 years, right? And honestly, we don't even really talk at school or hang out like a lot anymore. You know, we both have our own main friend groups that we hang out in, and you know, he's got a girlfriend, so you know, that's fine. That's nice and dandy. That's nice to have. You know, but every once in a while I'll stay over at his house, or I come over to mine for the night, and you know, we'll play games and watch some movies or silly stuff, and you know, just talk about life. And literally nothing has changed about that connection. Like, the friendship is still there, strong, and you know, even if we're not in each other's, you know, faces every day, to me that's still, you know, something important to me. You know, friendships can look different, I guess, depending on the season you're in. Some fade when the situation changes, like classes, like I said. You know, some stay steady even when you don't see each other every day. And you know, some like that, like those lifelong friends, prove that time and distance, you know, they're not gonna break a real connection. And you know, when you want to know when it's not your fault, like, how do you know, right? Nothing, you know, nothing specific happened to break the trust or anything like that. You still care about each other when you do talk, but it's less frequent, and you know, their life has changed in ways you couldn't control, right? And that's, you know, that's okay, right? Like, and you've both grown into different people with different priorities and goals, dreams, and whatever it is, right? So how do you want to handle that, right? You know, don't fight the natural drift. Just let it be for what it is, right? I think one of the best things you can tell yourself is say, you know, it is what it is. If the time is right, we'll find a time to hang out, and you know, cherish that moment in that person, you know, and appreciate what the friendship gave you while it was, you know, I guess in its prime, you could say. And you know, stay open to reconnecting later, because sometimes people will come back unexpectedly, right? And you know, put your energy into friendships that are mutual right now. Focus on people who show up for you. And I think I've already said this, but just make sure you remember, not every friendship is, you know, forever, but you know, every single one will shape you in one way or another. So you know, if you've lost a friend and you're carrying a lot of guilt for it, you know, just let it go, man. Honestly, you know, it's hard, but you know, friendships fade, not always because you did something, just because that's how life works, and that's okay, right? The right people for this season of your life will stay, right? And I hope that helps somebody out there.